Everything You Know Is Wrong is brought to you by UReach. Want to volunteer internationally? Take the trip of a lifetime. Eat the world's best tacos in Baja, California, Mexico. Learn to surf in Nicaragua, Central America. Pet a lion in Zambia, Africa. All while doing something amazing to change the world. Housing, water, education. UReach.global is your portal to reach farther than you ever imagined. Student Reach. Coaching for students, resources for parents, student presentations that really change things, trips for students, and more. StudentReach.org is where reaching your potential begins. You can support the show at everythingyouknowiswrong.show/support or patreon.com/everythingyouknowiswrong. Show notes, video, and more at everythingyouknowiswrong.show. Let's do this.
Everything you know is wrong.
You're wrong, and you're a grotesquely ugly freak.
It's important to remember one thing. You're wrong.
You are dead wrong.
You're wrong.
Ooh, you smell that? It smells like someone's wrong.
Everything you know is wrong. Everything you know is wrong.
All right, hey, welcome to Everything You Know Is Wrong,
Where we're blind leading the blind.
and we question everything.
Everything.
That's right. We're going to talk about
We're gonna nail that at some
mysteries.
point. We're gonna
That's
nail
right,
that at some point. Hey, give us time. Give us time.
And yesterday, I kept forgetting the thing. It's mysteries.
Oh, yeah.
Misconceptions.
And myths.
And myths. That's the one I couldn't remember.
We just rolled right through it.
Myths, exactly.
Myths, mystery, and what is it?
See, this
Myths, misconceptions, and mysteries.
Mysteries.
I like it.
Yeah.
We hope you do too.
So this is actually really cool today. We are talking about coffee, and we have a great. I mean, I was
amazing.
Amazed at our guest today.
One of my
and
dear friends.
His knowledge of coffee.
Yeah.
Also, seriously, he has made me the two times I've had coffee with him. 2 best cups of coffee in my entire life.
Yeah, it's good coffee. You're gonna hear all about it. It's mind blowing stuff. It's good stuff. It's fun stuff. It's gonna be a good time. But we are here. Even if we talk about this now, no, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Well, we can talk a little bit about it now.
So UReach Coffee, guys, and a lot going on with this, Jeff. Start telling them what's coming in the future, because you're gonna want to know about this.
Totally cool. Now, of course, for people coming on trips with us, they
Yeah.
can sell the world's best coffee. And we
It's
are going to
phenomenal.
we have projects going in Baja, California, Nicaragua, and Zambia. And we are going to have a great coffee from each one of those countries. Oaxacan coffee,
Yeah,
obviously,
from Baja.
from Mexico. And then Nicaragua.
Yep.
I've been through the coffee plantations in Nicaragua.
I'll be checking them out
Awesome.
soon. At some point, Jeff's gonna take me, so it'll be good.
That's right. And then in Zambia, we're gonna go and check that out. But we have projects going there: education, clean water, housing. I
Yeah.
mean, and the one thing that all comes together is working with people that are in absolute poverty, less than $2
Yeah.
a day per person. And they call that absolute poverty because if you have less money than that, you don't have enough money to even feed yourself, and you die.
Yeah, and that happens all the time.
That's it. You can only be so poor before you don't make it. People don't know poverty, #1 killer in the world by far. It's connected to things even, a lot of people don't realize, but actually diarrhea is one of the biggest killers in the world. And it's because people don't have enough money to treat it. Medical systems aren't there.
It just
Malaria.
depletes, and geez.
You look at the number of people that die from malaria. They think that because of Bill Gates, his focus on malaria, he's probably saved more people's lives than any other one person in history. He's given
Really?
$500 million to fighting malaria. Here's the crazy thing: a mosquito net that can keep a person from getting malaria for an entire malaria season costs like 75 cents. And if you get it, the treatment to make sure you will not die is about $4.
So just get the net, yeah.
One of the things that we did in Zambia is there's health clinics there, test people. It's about a 50-cent test. And if they have malaria, you can give them the hydroxychloroquine. And it's a very inexpensive drug. And
Really?
you won't die of malaria. So really cool. And so this is going to help us. And then also this is going to help us for people that have a subscribe. They can subscribe to the coffee.
Yeah.
Either either one of these kinds or the blend or switch it up
Yep.
on a regular basis. It's going to go to our water projects.
Subscription, fundraiser, both options available. And the idea is to take this sustainable coffee, this specialty coffee, where it's actually really, really good and has an amazing story behind it. And so not only are we raising money so we can go and do all these amazing things, but then actually putting amazing craft coffee out into the world where everybody can enjoy it. So it's kind of this win-win, if you will. And so we're really, really excited about it. We hope you are too.
And really, it's a win-win-win because it's going to be this is all going to be ethically sourced.
Yep.
Right. A lot of coffee is not. If
Yep.
you're buying coffee for $3 a pound or something, it's
Yeah.
exploitive. There's probably no way around that.
Yep.
I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm sure they all have lawyers, but that's a thing, you know. And then an organization in the middle doing great things, and then you get an excellent cup of coffee.
The
on other
trifecta.
side. Yeah, that's right. So that's all super awesome
Yep.
along the way. And you know, it's funny, it's because we're talking about water, and you know, like that this goes to water projects. It's cool because coffee, which is the second most consumed beverage in the world, will fund water projects because water is the number one.
Yeah.
But unsafe water,
I had to ask what the number one was,
Yeah.
and I found out it was water, and I was like, oh yeah.
the clear stuff. The other thing though is, you know, as we talk about diseases that, you know, lead to waterborne diseases, diarrhea, we just talked about, is the number one killer. That's the third time I said diarrhea
crazy.
in this podcast
I
already.
know, cha.
It is it's from bad water, right? So getting people clean water is huge. And you know, one of the cool things that I listened to a podcast not too long ago about the history of coffee, and here's one of the coolest things that I had never heard before.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the 1700s, it's considered a time of incredible invention. You know, you got guys like Ben Franklin, but a lot of other people led to the Industrial Revolution. I mean, just absolutely, if you look at that, it's one of the most prolific times. If the 1500s were the Renaissance for art, for innovation, it's really the 1700s. And it's led to the modern world now. I mean, basically in terms of technology, from the Roman Empire into the 1700s, very similar stuff. People live mostly the same, and then innovation hit like crazy. Here's a theory that people have.
I like theories.
They think it leads to coffee. Okay.
I like coffee.
Because you cannot trust water throughout history to not give you diarrhea.
Because you get sick, yeah. Because
In a world without antibiotics, you die of diarrhea, basically from dehydration.
Dehydration, yeah.
You can't drink enough water, and drinking more of the same water make you sicker, right?
Disease, gosh.
If you've traveled in the developing world like I have, you've had some bad water, and
Yeah.
you understand the effects of that. The big D, as they say. So people would drink alcohol, because alcohol is
Wine,
an
yeah.
antiseptic, right? And the alcohol kills the germs in it. But around the 1700s, coffee started getting big in Europe and in the United States of America.
Okay.
And so when you boil the water to make coffee, and people didn't understand all that, but they knew that coffee would not make you sick, just like drinking alcohol wouldn't make you sick. And so meeting with your friends at noon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, instead of sitting around and drinking beer, wine, or spirits,
Yeah.
which are a depressant, right?
Yeah,
Make
sure.
you think slower.
Yep.
You feel smarter, but you think slower.
Yep.
Instead, they're drinking coffee, which is a stimulant. And it could be correlation, but a lot of people
Little giddy
think
up.
there's a lot of causation there, and that is one of the things that led to incredible innovation.
Wow. I like it.
So that leads me to a question I had for you, Robbie.
Okay.
So I think a lot of us, drink a cup of coffee in the morning to wake up. Like I have a couple cups before I go jogging because I hate jogging and it makes jogging easier. But I think also the second thing we think about is I met with a group of friends this morning, and we, of course,
Yep.
had a cup of coffee. And so I was going to ask you, what are some of the most enlightening, cool, innovative, or game-changing conversations that you've had around coffee?
Okay. I'm a cyclist. I love riding bikes, like Lance Armstrong type cycling. And I got a call. I was on the trail. I got a call. And she's like, hey, my wife called. She said, hey, where are you? And I was like, hey, I'm on the trail. You know, I'm over in Roseville. I'm about to head over to Bloom. It was a local coffee shop. And I head over there, and she's like, oh, I'll meet you there. I'm like, perfect. So we get there, and we get a cup of coffee, and we're sipping, and she looks super nervous. And I'm looking at her, and she's like, hey. And she's like, we're pregnant. We're having a baby. She delivered, you know, and I sit there and I'm like numbed over, right? I'm like, and she starts to get nervous. She's like, honey. And I'm like, she's like, is everything okay? And I'm just stunned, right? And I didn't realize what happened. She's thinking like, oh no, you know, he's not ready or he doesn't want to do this.
This is your daughter, London.
Yes.
Yeah,
and he wants out of here, right? And she's like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? Talk to me, you know? And I'm like, I just thought it was gonna be like a cake and like, I thought it was a party, I thought it was gonna be a big celebration, but she told me over a cup of coffee. And back then I thought I wanted something more, but after all these years of marriage now, I mean, I look back and I'm like, that was just perfect. At the time I thought I wanted something more, but really I was riding. She was at the hospital, with her normal checkup, finds out she's pregnant. We weren't really expecting it. We weren't doing anything to stop it, but we weren't.
You did go to school, right? Were you homeschooled?
No. But
I feel like I know.
But it changed our life. Yeah, we do. But it changed our life, and it's funny. Sit here, you ask me that question. I'm like, that was the news, and that was, man, it's pretty cool. Over a cup of coffee.
I think I've had so many incredible, probably most of the most innovative, strategic conversations I've had over a cup of coffee.
For sure.
And I was thinking about one. I met with a friend of mine named Lowell in 2012, and we got together. He came out, saw a school assembly program that we did right here at Natomas High, as a matter of fact.
Go Nighthawks.
The school that you went to.
Yeah.
And we got together later that afternoon and began to map out what would become our school assembly program called Say Something, which was a school assembly program based on the idea that you would go into schools and shine a light on how people that exploit children, teenagers mostly, through sex trafficking here in the United States of America, how they do that, how that works, and shine a light on it, because a lot of those girls, mostly some boys, are still in school.
Yeah.
A lot of them, and it turned out that actual school we were at, it came out later that year that there were kids in that school manipulating other kids in that school. There was actually a trafficking ring going on in that school that got exposed, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
Right? Not the subject we were actually talking about that day, because we were mapping it out, but so we started going into schools all over the United States, and we've talked to more than 300,000 students, and basically going in and aiming at that kid next to the kid who's being exploited, right? Because of the mind washing that goes on with kids that are being exploited.
To be on the lookout and see red flags and different, that's great.
And I don't know, we've had, I think probably hundreds of reports. I know many, many, many cases have come out of those schools. I'm more excited about the prevention, honestly, because, if you can prevent a kid from their life more than likely being destroyed for the rest of their life on some level or another, right?
Yeah.
If you understand how trafficking
on a deep level, I mean.
Yeah. So, that was like one of those conversations we had around coffee.
Yeah.
And, it's just really cool when you think about all those kinds of
but from intimacy to inspiration.
That's right.
A cup of coffee seems to always be involved.
Now, you're kind of a coffee nut yourself.
I love coffee.
Yeah. So, what would you say as you learn more about coffee? What are some of the myths or misconceptions or mysteries that you learn?
Yeah. For me, and there's probably a ton, but just that coffee could taste good. I know that sounds weird, but just coffee on its own, I think coffee was a big part of my childhood growing up, and in weird ways you could call it a constant. because my life was chaotic and crazy, but just as much long as I can remember, and now I realize I came from a line of a bunch of people that were hooked on other things, and coffee seems to go hand in foot with that.
How old were you when you started drinking coffee?
I was probably when I started wanting to sip it and snook around, probably around 11 or 12, kind of smelling it and
probably
wanting
32.
to pretend. Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, sipping it, and then I think it was probably when I was in high school, and then college for sure. But I mean, I can remember my grandfather, he'd walk around the house, whenever I'd be over there with him, he just, coffee. Smelling it, coffee. I mean, he would just talk to it. It was like he was worshiping coffee, It's like, and so, it is a stimulant, right? Like you talked about in the story, in the 1800s or whatnot, whatever you said. People are,
Yeah.
It's a stimulant. It makes you feel good, I've even done time where I don't do it for a season of time, whether it's a week, a month, or even a year at times, just to not have that stimulant in my body and see what it feels like.
That. No.
And then I go right back to it and have it again, But it's nice. It is nice, and so it's kind of been a passion of mine. But the coffee could taste good because I always had to put cream in it, lots of sugar. And then it was like this. People would be like, "Oh, I drink my coffee black," and I was like, I grabbed onto that to be cool because I thought that's how you evolved as a coffee drinker. But the reality was, I would drink and be like, "Oh, I drink mine black. Been doing it for 15 years." You know what I mean? But it's like internally, in your real mind, where you tell the truth, where you don't lie to yourself, it's like it's not very good. I'm just sucking it down to get that until it's like, ting! Oh, there it is.
Put hair on your chest.
Yeah.
Because it tastes bad.
Yeah, because it tastes bad, And, at whatever point it was, I don't know, 2006 or something. I don't even remember when. But I kind of got introduced to this new idea of a third wave coffee. And that coffee could taste good, and that they roast it different, and that they roast it to the profile of where it's from and its region and all these, I'm getting into these words, but and it's like, what? You're speaking Greek to me, but then I remember tasting it, and kind of going, well, that was sweet. It was almost citrusy.
Yeah.
Man, it almost had like vanilla notes in it, and it's like, wait a minute, am I drinking wine here? Like, what is this? Mm-hmm. And with that, falling in love with it. And then, you make an espresso, it's a whole different part. You're not brewing it, you're actually pulling a shot, and so it's a different way of doing that, and it tastes different, and it's more rich and creamy, but then you can steam the milk and make a little macchiato or a cappuccino, and it's just, it pulls the sugar and the sweetness, and it's just, you can get some really amazing flavors, and it's like, man, coffee can actually taste amazing.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
My wife, for going on probably at least 15 years now, every single morning I'm here before I get out of bed, which sometimes is early. Even if we're going on a trip, sometimes we're leaving at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
She will still go and make me with our espresso machine. She'll make me a latte, cappuccino.
I thought you were going to say something else, Jeff. I thought you were going to say breakfast.
A latte, a cappuccino, a mocha, something.
That's nice.
And she makes it for whoever's staying in her house. She'll crack out 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 different drinks. Anyone who stays with us, people that have
I look forward to spending the night.
Yeah. So,
wow.
It's awesome. Hey, so introduce our guest.
Yeah, so Erik Werner is a good friend of mine, and he is the CEO, head roaster for Valiant Coffee, and it's coffee roasters, and it's he's amazing. He's put in work and time. I don't want to say much because we get into it, and it's just, wasn't it a great?
Oh,
we got done with this and just said, but he's one of the smartest guys I know. He's a real thinker. He loves to learn. It's one of my favorite things about him as a roaster and coffee owner and connoisseur is that he's never done learning. He's got his Q grader's license, and if you don't even know what that is, he's just always becoming better because he values his craft so much. He's just an amazing guy, husband, father, dear friend, and I don't even want to say any more because it was we left the conversation going, that was so fun. We want to have him back and do this again, but now you get to watch it now.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so here we are today with Erik Werner from Valiant Coffee. So how you doing today, Erik?
Doing good. How are you?
All right, very good. Hey, thanks for coming. We actually have Erik in the studio instead of on Zoom. So I mean, you miss Zoom when you don't have it in no way, shape, or form. But hey, it's great to have you here. And man, we're here to talk about coffee, about misconceptions, mysteries about coffee. And, you know, one of the things that's amazing to me as you think about coffee is that it is the second most consumed beverage in the world. Right after water. yeah. I mean, really,
Hey guys.
really, it's all based on water. But tell us, how do you get into coffee?
You want the short version or the long version?
The medium.
Man, that's a tough one. I kind of just fell into it. My first job was at a bakery at a local grocery store, so Rayleigh's in Bel Air. I was a bag boy for a number of years, and then, you know, just you climb the ladder and found myself making donuts, and lo and behold, they started switching.
So you got to the deli.
No,
the bakery.
Yeah, the bakery.
Hey, if you don't know, that's an upgrade. I worked there. Hey, I was a baker myself.
Yeah, it's prestigious.
That really
you know,
is.
a little bit.
I mean, Bel Air.
But no, they had the Java City. I'm trying to remember. They had the Java City kiosk, and then they were upgrading to Pete's, and you know, it was a number of things. But I started learning about espresso machines and brewing coffee and all this stuff. And I think that was my first experience like serving coffee beverages to people. But after that, I got into roasting. I worked for this lady at a coffee shop in Loomis. It was called the Wild Chicken. Pretty random.
Yeah,
but,
I remember it.
You know, it was
That's
good.
a wild name for a coffee shop.
Yeah. She let me roast and started managing there, and I guess that was kind of it. You know, I took a hiatus. I was working in ministry for 6 years, and then my business partner now, Luke, him and I were both just like, man, we need to have something for our kids, because like this isn't working for the long haul. So we bought a roaster and got into doing it ourselves.
Yep.
You know, it's amazing because I feel like you're underselling the story a little bit. Like you kind of told your story, but here's the real story. The real reason why you're here, at least from my perspective, is man, I went to your roasting facility. You guys made me a cup of coffee. It was the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life. And what we're drinking right now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, like, and that's funny you say that, Jeff, because even kind of how we got connected is I somehow randomly stumbled upon Third Wave Coffee, which I hope we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
We are though. And started falling in love with coffee. Started getting these details that I never knew. That coffee has double the varietal of flavors than wine, which you'd never think that.
Yeah.
The wine is like prestigious. I mean, you get it, you know. And coffee, you're like double the varietal. It tastes like burnt. You know, all tastes like, you know. And so you get into this, and some people say all the time, "I love coffee."
Yeah.
Like, I'm a coffee guy, and I'm always like, "Oh, I think I am too, but we might be different kind of coffee guys, you know." And so with Jeff, I was nervous. I'm like, man, he's gonna have a cup today. And sometimes people that say they're coffee people try the coffee that I believe is good coffee and don't like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right? And it's always you're like, you don't care. You're gonna make your coffee that you know. But and he loved it, and I was like, he gets it. Like he can taste it. You know.
Well, it was funny. It was kind of off the cuff brew. We had the siphon pot, and Robbie and I were just talking. I was like, hey, you want to try this thing? You know, and we threw whatever in there, and you liked it. So,
but
cheers
there's
to
something special. Yeah, cheers to that for sure. There's something special about this coffee.
So, you know, we're here to talk about mysteries, misconceptions, and other misses along the way. But so, I mean, you guys are throwing around this term of third wave coffee. I think most people have no idea what you're talking about. Sure. So, tell us about that.
Yeah, my understanding, I think it goes back to how coffee has, what's the word?
Evolved?
Like propagated. I don't know if
Yeah.
propagate, but how coffee has kind of like the phases of distribution of coffee historically in the U.S. So first wave would have been like Folgers, right? You have these larger roasters. They're roasting it up. A lot of them are grinding it.
Good stuff, Folgers.
It's the best part of waking up.
Yeah. Folgers, Maxwell House, U-Band.
I mean, once you had U-Band, you really got it nailed. You know, you don't even have to make a pot.
This
You got the
was
U-Band.
this was the First World Wars. This was our great grandfathers.
Yeah.
This is I mean, some would say, you know, and I'm being a little funny, but some would say helped win the war.
Sure.
Because they got a little taste of home.
Yeah.
And it gave them a little
Yeah.
something to keep fighting for. Because you know you're children in a foreign land.
Yeah.
So
Seeing your friends murdered, and you have this thing. So Folgers had a place.
Yeah.
For first wave.
So that was first wave.
Second wave, to my understanding, would be like the larger, what are larger now, but Pete's and Starbucks. Some of those new, bringing in the espresso experience to America. And then third wave would be a refinement on that, where coffee roasters are. I just saw your light. Sorry, totally different subject. I saw your light fader down there. I know that, the leopard. Anyways, I did lighting for a time. Rabbit trails. But no, then the third wave would be where it's more of a quality focused espresso type service. Bringing in, you know, something like the Chemex for brewing methods, or the V60, or the siphon pot, which actually this is patented in 1938. So this is an old patent.
Yeah.
And the siphon pot that you tried, I mean, that's been around for 100 years or more. But just bringing back that focus on quality, and especially with quality in the bean more than the actual confection, the drink.
Yeah.
So, you know, at a big box, or not, maybe not big box, but like as the Starbucks Pete's template,
Totally.
the focus there is more on having the sweet, you know, the coffee, latte, cappuccino. Really, it's just a different form of a different expression of the coffee experience.
Yeah, whereas like in Sacramento, I'm sure a lot of places, I just know of the ones in Sacramento, but you think of, you know, places like Temple or whatever, where there's like, you can come in and get, you know, 6 different varietals of coffee brewed in 4 different ways. And I mean, that's kind of a whole different experience. You know, as a kid, I remember trying, when I was a teenager, I had one weirdo friend who drank coffee, right? Like no other teenagers drank coffee. Now they all supposedly drink coffee. It's really a milkshake with some coffee in it, which I'm not against. I actually love those
totally.
those mocha drinks and milkshake drinks and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, this is like, and even Starbucks, I mean, I just, you know, to me it feels over roasted, and I'm not trying to be all snobby or anything like that, but Pete's is a little better. But man, when you're making a cup of coffee, I mean, you're making a cup of coffee, you know, it really is like, you know, what someone would consider like a fine wine or something.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
So
I see it, like when I go into a coffee shop, I always tell people, they're like, how do you know if you like it, or you right away if you've never been there? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you've tasted it, but I'll go in. I can just look in the hopper, and you can look at the bean, you know, and it's like, it's just black and it's oily.
Yeah.
And it's very, I mean, you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
And if you look in there and you see it's like more of a light to medium to dark brown, and it's very matte, if you will, not oily.
No sheen.
Yeah, because when you burn a bean to its, you know, baking point, or if you will, it releases oils, and so it's burnt. It is. It's not saying anything bad about an organization or company that does that. That's just how they do it.
Yeah.
But we're trying to actually bring the flavors from where it's coming from.
Yeah.
From its region, from its altitude,
Yeah.
from its percentage of water in the air. Like, it's crazy. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a question that I don't know the answer to, and I'm assuming a lot of people don't know the answer is. I'm hoping that that you do. If not, I guess we'll pull up Wikipedia. But who is the first person that decided I'm going to grind up these? We call them beans, but they're really seeds,
They're the
right?
seeds, yeah.
They said I'm going to take this seed out of this coffee fruit. I'm going to cook them up. I'm going to grind them. I'm going to run water through it. I'm assuming tea came first, but who did this and when did they do it?
So there's a lot of debate around that.
Ooh, the mystery.
Yeah, the mystery. So everybody kind of defers to the Caldi story, where he's a goat herd. The goats are eating the cherries. They have energy. He's like, wow, this is cool. And he starts eating them or brews a tea with them or whatever it is.
And where is this?
This is in Ethiopia.
Okay.
So Caldi is from Ethiopia. But we really don't start seeing... production of like coffee as a beverage until the 1500s. It's been so that the Kaldi story is like 500, 700 AD. And then in the 1500s, as Europe starts trading, as Europe starts, going south and trading, they come across Yemen. The Arabs have this massive cultivation of the coffee plant, and they're brewing it kind of similar to how we have today. I think that legend goes is there were Arab monks, and they realized through just experimentation, they picked the cherries, be like, oh, let's make a tea out of this. Then they'd smash it and brew it. Then they thought, oh, this is okay. What if we take the seed out of it and roast it? Or they'd have it just a pan, just cook it on the pan and then smash it up and brew it. But yeah, I mean, you can even go on YouTube now and see in Ethiopia people preparing coffee with a traditional stone mortar and pestle, and they're just grinding it that way. Throw it into a big pot and brew it. I mean, the Ethiopian,
your buddy,
yeah,
who we should have on this show,
yeah,
does that.
His wife is from Ethiopia, and she knows the whole coffee ceremony, and
Wow.
she could.
And so we went all the way from that to someday in the 60s, somebody came up with Senka, and really coffee had hit its apex.
Yeah.
You just put it in a cup with some hot water. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned Ethiopia, but I think a lot of people probably don't know that much about coffee regions. And, maybe they've seen, their pretentious friend getting Ethiopian coffee and somebody else saying, well, I really prefer, El Salvadorian or Guatemalan or something like that. So talk to us a little bit about the different regions and the taste.
Yeah, so genetically, all coffee plants of the Coffea arabica variety come from Ethiopia. And they were, like I said, the Arab monks took that and started to propagate and cultivate really big plantations. And that's where we get the I guess that second part of the name, the Arabica, comes from that, because we've discovered it in the Arab region. We meaning European tradespeople. Yeah. I don't know how PC that is, but whatever. So they started trading, and originally one of the major ports of trade was the port of Mocha in Yemen. So Dutch, Dutch, Portuguese, Spanish, English, they'd all go down there and trade. But the Arabs were very protective of their crop. You may have heard of the idiom, the wine of Araby, right? So that's coffee. That's another name they had for it. But eventually somebody smuggled out a seedling. And that's where we start to get what are commonly referred to today as coffee varieties, where they go and plant them in different locations throughout the world. But everything essentially comes from Ethiopia and by default through Yemen, the port of Mocha. So the Dutch were the first ones, I think, to get it out. Maybe it was the French. But the French were the first, or I think the French missionaries were one of the first ones to bring it back. And that's why we have that French roast as the name, because the Arabs would roast it so dark they would kill the seed, so it couldn't germinate. And it was dark and oily and burnt.
That's
There
crazy.
you have French roast. And then the Dutch, they'd got their seedling, took it to the island of Java, started cultivating. I keep saying propagating. They were cultivating plants there. And then with their first export, the sailors grabbed coffee from the island of Java and then stopped at the port of Mocha. And on the way back, they were mixing the two seeds together, and we have our first blend of coffee, the Mocha Java blend.
That's so I'm glad you. Oh yeah, no, I knew. I just wanted to, I didn't want to steal your. Oh yeah, I don't want to steal your thunder. Actually, you gave him everything he just said.
Yeah, it's all scripted. There's a teleprompter.
Yeah. All right, so I know, we're a little ways in here, and I know there's a lot of people that are out there, and it's like the legend now. The one thing they wonder is like, what is the story with that coffee that is eaten by a cat and pooped out, and it's like $400 an ounce or some crazy dumb thing.
Yeah.
Kopi Luwak. Yeah. So that one, there's just opening up cans all over the place. Yeah. So coffee, when it's picked, the way we process it now, we pick the cherry. We've kind of refined this process, right? So we talked about making it as tea, smashing it up, doing all these different methods. we've kind of refined it to where we pick the cherry, and it goes through one or two processes. One is a dry method where we just leave it in the fruit to dry in the sun, closely monitored so it doesn't mold. The other method is the washed method, where you take the fruit of the cherry off, and then you wash the pectin layer. They call it mucilage, and sometimes you can process that by curing it in the sun with the pectin on, and that's called a honey process. Or you can just continue to wash it until you just agitate it and ferment it until that dissolves. The Kopi Luwak, they actually let this cat or this creature, I don't know what it is, it's a cat or a monkey or something.
Meerkat, I think, or something like that.
Some kind of funky little animal.
Yeah.
But it eats the cherries, and by going through the digestive process, it just takes care of the removing the pectin layer for you.
The seeds were just sitting on the ground?
Yeah. So you just pick them out, and it's in the parchment, so they can wash it, clean it, and then they de-hull it, and it's good to go.
So, is that really actually good coffee, or is it just rare and just like some, what kind of weirdo came along anyway and said, "Oh, that's not a meerkat poop. That's actually a coffee bean."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they were familiar with fermentation methods, so we eat a lot of fermented food. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but
I don't feel like I eat anything that's been pooped out. Actually.
Yeah,
funny enough.
I mean, that's by bacteria.
That's
I think we've talked about
my
this,
rule.
But it's pretty shitty though.
I think about 15 years ago.
Sorry, I couldn't.
That's hilarious. A buddy of mine about 15 years ago gave me monkey spit coffee. This was the same, different area, but these monkeys would just chew seed in the enzymes in their mouth. Something in the enzymes would just do whatever that process you just said would do that. Yeah. And we had the coffee and it was delicious.
Yeah.
But
and that's
it was
what
roasted
bees,
different. It was
bees
obviously
do that
roasted
with
lighter.
Honey. I mean, honey is just bee vomit. Like they eat it. They eat the nectar, spit it out, and it's gone through hundreds of bees' mouths by the time we eat it.
All right, so I'm no longer eating anything with honey. So that's that's good to know too. Okay. How much do you hate people that put a lot of sugar in their coffee as a coffee broker?
I don't hate
No, honestly.
No.
No. I mean, really deep in your heart. There's just, I know there's hate in your heart for people. No.
No. I mean, if I gave somebody this cup, it's kind of like when you go to a nice fine dining restaurant, right? And you order your food, and if somebody asked for the salt to put on the food, that wouldn't be so much an insult to the the chef wouldn't hate the person for doing that. They'd be like, crap, I forgot to season this food, or whatever. So no, I mean, I grew up putting vanilla creamer stuff in. I put in tons of sugar and cream, and now I occasionally drink a cup black. My first cup of the day, I put cream in. I like it with cream.
Yeah,
No judgment.
I have a confession that probably until about a year ago, I would always put at least a little bit of sugar in my black coffee. And, does that make me less of a man? Yeah, it does. I mean, but I've grown up now, so no, I had a staff member that worked with us, and it was like there was this she was a female, and she would mock me incessantly. And I'd say, no, it brings out the citrus flavor. She'd say, no. And I'd say, no, just like if you have like a Kenyan blend, you put a little shit. No.
Not buying it.
Very,
I like a little
very
cream
judgy.
sometimes too, because it does. The milk itself can pull out some notes from the coffee, and then even that's why you have a espresso with like a cappuccino or something. That's why it tastes good.
No, I think that if sugar is the salt that you put on the steak, that really milk is the A1 sauce in the fancy steakhouse.
Yeah. You can't fault him for that.
My wife likes oat milk, and I'm not vibing with it, but.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. If you're out there, if you're listening to this and you like milk and sugar in your coffee, I mean, that's no, I can't say it. That's wrong.
I really think, and correct me if you think I'm off my rocker, I think what happened was the movement was profound for a lot of people who were drinking burnt coffee, that you had to have milk and sugar. Yeah. And so people took, like many people in this country do, on a lot of different things, take a staunch side. I'm over here. We don't even, which we've even talked about, there's coffee shops. That's like their thing. Yeah. You go in there, can I get a vanilla latte? I mean, and you're like, whoa, dude,
black coffee for you.
But I feel like that's different. You know, an espresso drink is different to me. Sure. Like, you know, I mean, I've been all over Italy drinking cappuccinos. Yeah. That's a different thing. That sounds really elitist. Yeah. That's a really different thing, though, than putting milk and sugar in coffee. But no, I know people love their coffee all different kinds of ways. I don't really care.
But I think they took that stance on the coffee's so good.
Well, I think like
you don't
Robbie
need
said,
milk or sugar. It's that good.
Yeah.
It's like, it is that good.
Yeah.
But I like a little milk in it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I think, you know, the roast degree affects the flavor a lot. You know, and so the darker it's roasted, the less sugar there is naturally in the coffee. So the lighter roasted coffee, you're going to have more sugar. You won't need to add it.
Yeah.
So Starbucks should add a little sugar to their coffee.
Okay, so I have a very, very controversial viewpoint about coffee. As a matter of fact, I've been threatened to be jailed over this particular standpoint. I believe the science is on my side, but even people listening to this are going to very much, when I say what I'm about to say, are going to be like, what is wrong with you, you cretin? I love the coffee that in all the major brands always wins #1 in blind taste tests. I love McDonald's coffee.
So good. So good.
Oh, my hero.
So good.
My hero.
No, dead serious.
They have a medium to light blend that is so well balanced. And they're like, aren't they like the #1 coffee seller in the world?
Oh, yeah. They blow it out of the water. I drink McDonald's coffee. If I'm in a pinch, I'm out of town.
Yeah. I can pinch it for sure.
And I'm out of town, I'm doing a road trip, I will get a McDonald's coffee with 1 cream and sugar over a Starbucks, over a Pete's, any day.
That's hilarious.
First of all,
I would do that too.
it's $1. It's $1. Second of all, it tastes amazing.
It really does.
It's really good coffee.
It has a now this is
McDonald's.
this is like oh boy, no kidding. You need to drink this like a couple days from now.
Yeah.
It's so hot. Yeah. But no, it's got like now I feel like I'm like now a truck driver explaining the scents that come off the tires, right? But no, it's like it's got like these light citrusy notes, and I mean it really is.
I wonder what it is.
So good. Whereas I feel like you go to Starbucks, they like burnt the crap out of the coffee, and you know, like now I mean I think they have great espresso at Starbucks, and I love drip coffee at Pete's and those boutique coffee shops. But no, man, McDonald's they got the light roast going on.
They bring it,
and it is the same anywhere in the world that you go.
Where's their?
They roast their own.
But where are they getting the bean? Like,
Heck
where's
if I know.
We should figure this out.
Yeah, I just know it's good. Tastes
Okay, so we started to talk about, but what's Africa? Obviously, major. I mean, I don't know about you. My favorite are the African. I mean, there's like you can taste the African dirt in it. You know, really, like to me, it tastes like kind of sour. You know, and then Central America, another huge one. I think mostly known for like a real balanced kind of coffee. What are your feelings on those? And what are other regions that you go? And this is amazing, and no one knows about this.
Yeah, boy, they're all really good. So Ethiopia kind of has the market on heirloom and like history and all that, but there's a lot of surrounding countries that have created great coffee. Malawi, insane.
Really?
I've had some really insane coffees from Malawi.
Where's Malawi?
Just right next to Ethiopia, I think.
Oh, okay.
They're kind of like south.
I love
and
Ethiopia.
west.
Is my favorite, so I need to have some Malawi. It sounds
They're
like.
small though. Malawi's good. Malawi's really good. And then
I need to try
what's
that.
the other one? Burundi. I had a Burundi that was off the hook.
I've had a good Burundi myself.
That was actually what we drank that day. Was a Burundi. So
We've all had a Burundi.
Yeah. I didn't want to brag. You know, I already said the thing about Italy. So.
yeah.
Oh, you haven't had Burundi? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
No,
Sorry
I think
about that.
that.
I remember when I didn't have Burundi.
That was tough times.
Oh, you know who's coming up right now too is what is it? Shoot, what's the name of that one? It's in Asia. Starts with an M. Well, anyways, China's coming out with some really good coffees
really?
actually. I just took a Q grader course. and
You
we're-
can actually feel the pain of the slaves that the Chinese government uses to. No.
Yeah, no. Actually, so some of this farm that I got connected with, I think they're believers.
Awesome.
And so they're doing some really rad stuff out there. And they're
If the Chinese government is listening, that was just a joke. Please don't
extradited.
hack my computer.
Yeah, right. No, they have some great coffees. They do some really interesting fermentation processes, and I mean, I had one that tasted like banana, which was weird, but it was really, really good. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. But yeah, I mean, in Latin America, nearly all of those coffees came from the heirloom that they smuggled out of Yemen.
So what makes it
anything-
different? Different soil, different weather?
It just adapts. The plant changes. It adapts to the environment.
Which
Obviously,
is incredible.
Yeah.
yeah, you know, so the soil has what it has in it, and the plant can only make what it's got from the components available. You know, like you got a big box of Legos, you can only build the things you can with the pieces you got.
Yeah.
So the plants do that, and each region, each country, each elevation, they all have different stuff going on, and
So I've been through like coffee farms in Nicaragua where we do work, and we're going to be doing a Nicaraguan coffee together as a charity coffee with Valiant, which is awesome because we're doing wells there. As a matter of fact, if you're watching this, you can see our coffee right here. Not only will people that are going along trips, this is a way that they can raise money to go on trips with us, but these can go towards water projects. We're gonna take all the. We're gonna set up a website with you where we're doing that. But in Nicaragua, I walked through the fields where they're it's really the jungle, right? Where they're like growing the coffee trees or coffee bushes or whatever under the shade of the chocolate trees. Really cool. And here's the craziest thing to me. The craziest thing.
That's cool.
This is like my $1 million idea that I've never seen anybody do. So we're going through there. We got a bunch of students, and we're just picking the cherries off there. You kind of just break them open. The hull is tough. It's inedible. But you just kind of spit the bean out. It's really a seed in your mouth, and it's covered with this pulp that is like plum kind of in texture, but it is like the best. And you suck on that, and then when you're done, you just chew up the coffee bean and eat it raw. And about 10 of those, you're buzzing like you had 15 cups of coffee. It is the greatest experience. I cannot believe somebody hasn't figured out how to import like coffee cherries like that and sell them by the pound.
yeah. So I think a lot of that has to do with the FDA and regulation on importing, you know, because you're bringing the seed in from a plant that really doesn't grow here. So I think it's just regulation. I have a friend who's a doctor of agronomy. I think it's a doctor of agronomy, but they were doing a bunch of research in Guatemala, and so they were bringing in seeds and, you know, the fruit. When they dry it, they call that the cascara.
Makes an amazing tea, by the way.
Yeah. So soil, leaf samples, branch cuttings, everything from the plants, and they have to get all these, you know, tests for microbes and all kinds of crazy stuff. But it's good. That's a good experience.
If somebody could figure it out, man, that's the $1 million idea.
Yeah.
Until somebody steals it, wouldn't be that. Then once it takes off, then somebody steals it.
And now the whole world has heard it. So
What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about coffee?
There's so many. Where do I start?
just one.
Start with the biggest one.
Okay, I'll just pick on you guys because there's been one we've said a couple times today. I just learned this a few months ago, so I'm new to this as well. But a lot of times you see on bags where, well, this doesn't say it, but on bags or on websites it'll say varietal of coffee.
Yeah.
That's actually a misnomer.
Really?
The proper term.
Well, we're
is
well-known idiots.
variety.
So.
Variety. So
I just probably said the wrong word.
The
on
word
accident.
varietal actually would be the consumable version of a variety. So in wine, we have varietals of wine, but it's only a varietal once it's liquid wine.
Okay.
So the grape would be a variety.
Yeah.
I
So-
lived in Napa Valley for 9
that,
years,
yeah.
so after living in Napa Valley
You
for
learn
9 years,
something new every
I'm
day.
very pretentious. I use fancy words.
Yeah.
I try to get a job where I get paid by the big word, but
Yeah.
no one's hiring.
When you find it, I'll take that job too.
All right, one more.
So one more. I mean, just knowing that these are seeds. So
Yeah.
is this open?
I don't know.
No, it's not open.
No.
No, not open. I think, you know, we see these and we call them beans. I think we do a lot of discredit to the industry to call them coffee beans. Understanding that each one of these is a seed, and if it's got a flat side, that means there were 2 of them in the fruit, and every single fruit was picked by hand. So being able to recognize that this is an agricultural product and not a confection product, the mind shift would be to say like, oh, this is a seed, not a bean. It's not something that is damaging to the plant if you use a machine to harvest it.
Right.
So picking it by hand is really important. And then I think just understanding, I'm going on like 5 points now, but understanding that this got here because of collaboration. There's people laboring on the farm to make sure the plant's healthy. There's people laboring to harvest it.
Yeah.
There's people laboring to process it, and the processing has tons of different ways that can roll out. And then bagging it up, there's literally people that throw 100-pound sacks on their back and just load them onto trucks.
Wow.
The amount of effort that goes into this, just getting here, is really inconceivable, and it's impossible to track. And so just doing respect by what this is, considering it as a piece of produce, rather than just a commodity that we can get, bags of rice, which is also produce, but changing the way that we think about what the product is. I think that's a huge step.
Yeah, again, I've had the privilege to look the people that pick those seeds, that fruit by hand. I had the opportunity to look those people in the eyes and see what coffee means to them for their lifestyle, and I think that probably leads to the end part of our discussion here is, on one level or another, you have now, at least for now, dedicated your life to coffee. And you said you're in ministry. For people listening, that if you don't know what that means exactly, you're talking about maybe working at a church or in some sort of Christian nonprofit or something along those lines. But now, how does that translate, like where you're like, now I'm dedicating my life to coffee? What does that mean for your life?
Man, that's a big one. I think in the simplest sense, being a good businessman, handling our finances well, which is something, my home life was a wreck, so I didn't learn any of that, and I'm in the process of learning that now.
You mean growing up?
Growing up, yeah, as a kid, and obviously that led to not being able to like go to school and get an education. I had to work, and so learning how to do finances well, and then now we've been in business for 5 years, and taking this class, I just learned like, oh, there are better people to buy green coffee from. And so buying from reputable importers who have transparency between their self and the producer. And the producer, that could mean a bunch of different things. That could mean a co-op, that could mean a single estate, it could mean a large plantation. But having transparency of like, hey, we bought this bean. Normally, we're selling it to you for $3.75 a pound green. But we bought it for $2.58, and there was this much that went to importing, exporting costs of shipment and all this stuff. Having that transparency from your green buyer is really important, and then they can kind of when they get it, there's not much you can do before that, but giving respect to if you have information as a roaster about the producer, presenting that well. We just got a crazy Yirgachev that has 0 defects because these women sit there all day and they pick through it by hand and find any defective beans. So telling that story, and then I guess just like buying coffee, like as a consumer, buying coffee that perpetuates that model, instead of buying it, from a big block store. I don't even know how to say it, but big corporate. Model. Buy from the small guys, from the local guys. Buy from people who have integrity and are they're honest with their business, and they obviously have a passion. I think that's huge.
So we one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on, besides you have an encyclopedic knowledge of coffee. I've learned a ton today. Plus had the second
best cup of coffee in my life. We are working together for raising money for water projects, using the world's second most consumed beverage to get clean water to people, primarily in Africa and Nicaragua, but we even got a water project going on in Baja. And so we have projects in Nicaragua, in Zambia, Africa, in Baja, California, and so we are going to make 4 blends of coffee. One will be a Oaxacan coffee, that's our Mexican coffee. Another one will be a Nicaraguan coffee. One will be a Zambian coffee, which I'm really interested. I never actually had coffee. When I was there, I had some coffee, but it was, probably not treated with the respect.
The roasting process.
And then we want to make a signature blend of those 3 to support water projects, and then for people to be able to sell those as fundraisers to come along with us on a trip. We're expecting maybe next year to have almost 1,000 people coming on trips with us. So talk a little bit about that and how we can use coffee to change people's lives on both sides of the retail process.
Yeah, I think for us, I'll be working closely with my green coffee guy and trying to figure out how to get really good ethical coffees from those regions that you're talking. And then I guess, just for the people that'll be using this as a fundraiser, I mean, you guys can just tell the story. Obviously we'll get more details on the producers once it gets to be that time. But all 3 of those, Nicaragua, Zambia, Oaxaca, what was the other one?
That's the 3.
Just the 3. Okay, yeah. Those
and then
3.
a blend of those would be
Got
the
it,
4th
the
one.
blend, yeah. I mean, those all produce amazing coffees.
Right.
I've had a Zambia that changed my life, and it was just like, oh, this is so good.
My silly little hope is that, we can use it instead of candy bars or a bake sale or all these other things. Like, hey, we have this amazing coffee,
Yeah.
we can raise money from it for our trip to go and help, actually change the world.
Yeah.
And then we get to actually, they're getting good coffee.
Yeah.
They don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that's something we can develop more too, where when you guys go to those regions, you can even start finding producers and be like, hey, Erik, reach out to this guy. Hey, let's talk to this farmer. That's something where we can build the relationship so it's even more symbiotic than.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's been closed for a while, but we're going back to Zambia in October.
Nice.
By the way, if you want to go with us to Zambia in October, if you listen to this, it's going to be huge. Of course, I don't know when you're listening to this. We're traveling through time. Somebody can listen to this 5 years from now after...
Just go to the website and there'll be a trip some point soon. For you,
yeah, that's right.
Within a year, you'll be able to go on a trip with us.
Yeah.
But no, man, I'm really looking forward to making that part of the trip. We'll go and try to visit a coffee producer. I already told you we've made some incredible connections in Nicaragua, and man, I'm looking forward to jumping on a plane. Maybe the 3 of us will go and talk. Maybe even film a short documentary.
I think there's a vlog coming your way soon, folks. So
exactly.
Or just go to the YouTube channel and watch it from 5 years ago.
Let's go to Oaxaca. I mean, I have connections in Oaxaca, so I mean, let's do all that. This is going to be awesome. Robbie, you have any final thoughts or questions for Erik?
Man, looking at time, what was my final thought? I had something a minute ago, but I think no, I'm good. Cool.
Awesome.
It was so good. I mean, I'm sitting there just listening, and we talked a ton.
That was the place.
Myanmar. There you go.
I just remembered it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you remember that name of that place?
That was
good.
Yeah,
Okay,
see,
thanks,
you looked in. If you're listening to this, they stared intently in each other's eyes for a moment. If you're watching on video, I'm just joking. Yeah. Hey, thanks so much for coming. Thanks so much for bringing an awesome cup of coffee. And yeah, we're really excited, not only about helping people that are part of this ethically grown and harvested process in 3 countries that we really care about, but also the people that are going to purchase coffee to send somebody along, and then along the way, the proceeds of that going really to help people. You can buy coffee almost anywhere, right? They still sell it in the can.
Yeah, you can get that.
I mean, I don't know if I have ever drinking that actually on purpose.
No, those are actually really cool because you buy them, you dump the coffee out, you put money in
there
it,
you go.
and then you bury it in the backyard.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, like
when
my
hard times come, it's the best part of waking up.
True story. My grandfather, when I was a kid, I went to borrow some money to buy a bicycle from him. I had like a $120 mountain bike I was trying to buy from Sears. Okay, this is really taking you back, people. And
rewards.
And he had gone through the depression, and so didn't fully trust the banks. And so I went to his house to borrow money from him. He said, "Come here." We went in the back bedroom. He pulled out this thing of small coffee cans. You open them up, and it's like full of 20s. And he just pulls out 6 20s. I don't know how many were in that coffee can, but I was thinking, there must be like $1,000 in there, maybe more than that. He handed it to me. He looked at me and said, "Your grandmother doesn't know about this." Put the lid back on.
No, he did not.
Put it back in this cabinet. And I looked up there, and this cabinet has like 30 of those coffee cans. And I was like, Grandpa's a gangster.
Yeah, for real. Oh my word.
So yeah, that's a great use for coffee cans too. Well, hey, thank you so much. I feel like we learned a lot. We had some mysteries solved, some misconceptions that were taken care of, and this was really awesome. So thanks for solving the mysteries with us today.
Thanks for having me out.
See you guys.
Excited. Cheers.
All right, awesome interview with Erik.
Did we tell you?
Honestly, I don't think I'll forget that. That was really cool. He's like a human Wikipedia on coffee.
He loves what he does.
Yeah, super cool.
And I love that.
Love people like that are just so passionate and dedicated to a thing. I mean, it's just so cool. Really cool. Now, we talked a little bit about it during the interview.
Yep.
But people have the opportunity to go with us to the developing world and see coffee.
We love what we get to do, which is we get to travel to a few amazing, beautiful countries in which both grow coffee. And with that, we have some amazing news. We go on trips to Zambia and Nicaragua every year. So go online. Website is
youreach.global. Now, sometimes people ask me, is that youreach.global.com? No.
Nope.
Global is the .com.
Global is the com.
YouReach with a U. .global, and you can get trip dates there. And
we have specialty trips. You'll see them there. When we go to Nicaragua or Zambia, well, we're going to go to these coffee farms that we're working on having sustainable relationships with, right? Where we can actually even start getting our green coffee there to Valiant, and then Valiant will then produce our coffee for us. Pretty amazing stuff. You come on that trip, you're going to get to experience that. You're going to get to drink lots of this coffee, which I'm actually holding in my hand right now. And so if you're a coffee buff or a coffee connoisseur, or if you are like, give me coffee or give me death, then you might want to come on this trip with us.
That's right. And in Nicaragua,
or one of these trips.
Nicaragua will be focused on water projects when we get to go back. Also in Zambia, we got some water projects going. We got 2 schools that educate about 750 kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Putting coaching in places for those kids, so they not only have like the knowledge from the school that they're in, which is awesome, but also social emotional training, job skills, emotional intelligence, all those kind of things. These are going to be amazing opportunities. Go to youreach.global to find out more about those trips. And also, we won't go see a coffee farm where we're in Baja, but we do have coffee every morning. We bring great coffee with us. We're dedicated to that in Baja, California.
Every morning.
You can find out about that as well. That's an easy trip to go on.
Yeah.
It's incredibly affordable for your whole family in a way that it's, taking your whole family to Africa.
I promise you, if you've never been on a trip outside of the country where you're giving your life to service and making a difference, it will change your life. So don't miss it.
Yeah.
Go to the website, get signed up. We'd love to see you on a trip.
Great cup of coffee is a great experience, but going on an expedition to help somebody along the way,
it's even better.
Will be an entirely different experience than any vacation that you've ever taken or any vacation you could ever take. Be awesome. Hey, thanks so much. Everything You Know Is Wrong. Keep questioning everything.
Everything.
Thanks for listening to Everything You Know Is Wrong. Don't forget to rate the show in your favorite podcast app and tell a friend. It really does help. Visit our sponsors, studentreach.org, youreach.global. Follow us on Instagram at everythingyouknowiswrong.show and click the links. You can support us there too. And at patreon.com/everythingyouknowiswrong. You can be more awesome than you already are.